Some of y'all already see me on TikTok. Yeah, can y'all? Yeah, they said, is anybody in here can hear me? Y'all can hear me, can't y'all?
I can hear you, bro.
Yeah,
We can
yeah,
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
Loud
yeah.
and clear.
Yeah, they hear me. They hear me loud and clear. All right, all right, all right. We is in here, man. Finally. Finally. All praise to the Most High, man. I think today is a special day. I'm telling you, today's class is special. This is something that had to be done. So today we had to go on a side quest today. We on a little side quest today. That's all right with y'all, because I can do volume 7 in one day. So we'll do that Wednesday. But today, though, we on a side quest today. Time for y'all to hear what God had to say. Now, once you hear what God to say, just know God don't care about what you think about what he got to say. At all. None. See, the law just is. So we're going to get in there today, man. Thank you guys for being patient. We about to rock in and get started on this beautiful day. Yeah, man. Always thankful for you guys and your participation. Welcome to In God We Trust Academy podcast and work session season 9. And we are about to give you guys what it is today. Like we always do, but I think today is just going to be on a more profound level. And if you do hear this, this is definitely meant for you. All right. Don't forget about the things that we do have going on. Bingo nights, Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central time. $10 entry includes as well. This Friday, I'm going to be doing a free giveaway for the for something special. So when April drops, somebody's going to be able to win the surety ship, whole entire all 5 volumes. So make sure that you enter in for that. That's this Friday. So be there if you want a chance and the opportunity to win that and other games as well. Doesn't hurt to try. All right. Also, the tax series, as you know, it is every Monday and Wednesdays as we are in. We will be on volume 7. Like I said, I could do it today, but we're going to take a little side quest and we're going to go into something a little bit more special. This is a special edition for today, but we still are present. We're supposed to have been started at 11 a.m., but, you know, when you do this type of stuff, you run into technical difficulties sometimes. But we're not going to let that stop us, though. We're still going to get done what needs to be done. If you want to register, make sure that you sign up at admin@ingodwetrustacademy.org. That is how you get in here with us. Okay? Now, guys, on our private group on Facebook, guys, you have to literally do exactly what I'm telling you. Make sure you answer all the questions. Okay? All of them. I will let you in. If you don't answer all of them, that means you lacked the ability to follow instructions. So that means you ain't going to be able to do any of this work. The Lawman series, guys, on the 4th Wednesday, we do have classes, $125 per class, and it does come with the volume of that month. We on Power is Procedure, volume 2. Also, if you want the book and ownership, it is $300 for the whole entire volume. 10 volume series. If you do want that, it is not $600. It's supposed to be $300. So do make sure that you know that. You can go to ingodwetrustacademy.com for that. If you are traveling, text us, Kyrie Retreats, text trip to 256-263-0771 to get started as well. Make sure that you stay in touch with us over all of the platforms that you are watching from right now. And just know that we do still set up trust. So if you're interested in that, go to InGodWeTrustAcademy.com as well. All right. And this is the Surety Ship series I was talking about. This is going to drop the first week of April. All volumes will be out. I'm not going to teach the class right away. So this is for the do-it-yourself type people that like to get those things and read and, because you can handle it yourself. So definitely is for you. Now, for those of you that like to be under the sound of my voice, then those days for those classes will eventually come, just not right now. But they will come. Okay? Just so you know that they will definitely come. All right. But the whole entire bundle is $144. So do go and get that. Status correction, power law, and money and blueprint still up for those of you guys that still are looking for this. This is a great volume and great series. Definitely this will teach you for status correction as well. And that's just still you having the knowledge, wisdom, and the application of the law as well. But this is going to speak to you from a merchant perspective, as if you are dealing with the lawmaker Toria, and how it relates to today, modern time today, and how you are able to see it, identify it, and still operate and get the remedies that you want as well. Also, every Tuesday, we got the FCRA classes as well. Fair Credit Reporting Act series is on every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. You must be in the private group in God We Trust Academy on Facebook in order to be in that particular class. So don't forget that either, right? Still got the raffle giveaway, $10 per ticket, and that is for a free car. So if you're interested in that, do hit us up on that as well. All right. So everybody doing good in here. We're going to hit that record button and we're going to get started. We behind, but we still on time. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Peace, love, and law. Family, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Work session season 9 with In God We Trust Academy. Always appreciative of you guys' time and everything that you guys do to make this possible. Your testimonies and everything that you give here as well. And all praise to the Most High that has made this possible for us and decided to choose us. Right? Yeah, decided to choose us. Because we decided to be seekers of knowledge and wisdom of the law itself today. And that's a lot of what we're going to cover today. But we definitely give thanks and all praise to the Most High, right? We definitely do that. All right, guys. So everything that you hear from this point forward is educational, religious purpose only. Anybody seeking any form of legal advice, please do seek a legal advisor. All right, as it is my religious duty to speak my religious truth and experiences here with you guys today. All right. So also, we got any testimonies for our continue? Any testimonies?
I do. I first want to say praise, peace, and love to everyone that's on this journey. But my little testimony is so small, y'all. But I live in Missouri,
Mhm.
and there's this little county here called Warrenton County, and they're known to be, kind of on the racist side. But I'm going through my journey with them, and I would just like to proudly say that we have gotten told multiple times that we are taking them down a journey that they have never had to take before. And I think that's a cool little win for me.
That means nobody ever challenges anything there. Never. And I'm glad to hear that. So you stay strong in what you're doing and you keep moving forward. And thank you for that. You've been with us, what, a few months now?
Yeah, I came in towards the end of season 7.
Okay. Well, you've been around almost a year then. So that's cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you for sharing that, man. All praise and keep walking in confidence as well. All right, today we have the lawman. Justice carries the law. So justice is for those who are willing to carry the law. This is a very special edition As I have also put what is sacred on here to me, which is, you can see the LIP symbol, which means all is one, one is all, and one plus one is one, and all is one is all. So everything is going out. It seems like it is. It always do. Am I going out on y'all? Y'all can hear me in here though, right? I ain't no
Nope,
tripping on
you
y'all.
doing good.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I can still hear you. I can still hear you.
All right. Okay. All right, so let's then. But we're gonna get into this today. All right. So, and I think that you cannot separate God and man. Like, you can't separate at all, because God decided to place himself. Well, so when God breathed the breath of life into man, well, to know life is to be consciousness and aware of it. So consciousness was placed into man, the divineness of God himself. So, or itself. All right. So understand how deep we finna get today. So God and law. Law originates with God. Now, I'm gonna read this, then I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna explain it to you first, and I'm gonna read it to you. Law and order is just a natural order of thing, because the flesh is the adversary. That's your adversary right now. And if you don't have law, order, and discipline, then the flesh will definitely defeat the spirit. So the fact that you have to have law and order to be able to be sovereign and control of yourself, and only then when you establish law and order with yourself, can you govern anything else. So that means now that law and order must be established in the family, house rules, etc., and then as a society of people, because it is to control, right, or chastise the lawlessness. It is to make sure that the flesh does not, right, become so overwhelming to the people. So it needs to be put back in line. It needs to be stabilized. And the law is the only thing that could actually do that. So I want you guys to put that in your mind as we continue to move forward. So law is not a small subject. Law is the foundation of ordered life. It governs relationships, duties, property, conduct, remedy, punishment, and peace. Wherever human beings gather into families, tribes, cities, states, or nations, law becomes necessary because life cannot function properly without rules, orders, boundaries, and accountability. A society without law is not a free society. It is a disordered society where power replaces justice, confusion replaces order, force replaces reason, and men become vulnerable to abuse by those who are stronger, wealthier, more organized, or more informed than they are, which is basically a dog-eat-dog type world. For that reason, law must be understood as more than a set of commands printed in a book. Law is governing principle. It is the structure that holds society together. It defines what is permitted, what is prohibited, what is owed, and what is protected, what is punishable, what remedy is available when wrong has been done. Law establishes authority, but it also limits authority. It imposes duty upon the people, but it also imposes duty upon rulers, judges, officers, and institutions. In that way, true law is not merely a weapon used by government against the people. Properly understood, law is also a restraint placed upon government so that power does not become tyranny within itself. Right? Scripture presents law as a part of divine order. God is not the author of confusion. God is a God of government, order, measure, justice, consequence, and moral accountability. Throughout Scripture, divine order is tied to command, obedience, judgment, and blessings. This means that law in its highest sense is not an accidental human invention. Human governments may write statutes, adopt constitutions, create procedure, but the underlying principle of law itself is rooted in divine order. Men may administer law badly or unjustly, but the concept that life must be governed according to lawful order, that's already been established by God. That's a fact, right? So this is the important point for the average citizen to understand. Many people treat law as though it only matters inside a courtroom, during an arrest, or when signing a contract, or when faced with a lawsuit. That view is too small. Law affects every part of life. It affects marriage, family, labor, housing, commerce, debt, business, property, inheritance, education, public conduct. and the relationship between the individual and the state. A person who does not understand the place of law in society is walking through life exposed. That person may have good intentions, but good intentions alone do not preserve your rights. It does not secure property. It does not prevent deception or stop unlawful conduct. Knowledge is necessary, discipline is necessary, and study is necessary. Very necessary, right? A righteous and stable people cannot remain ignorant of laws under which they live, right? Cannot. If a people do not know the rules governing the land, then they will not know when those rules are being violated. And if they do not know their rights, they will not know when those rights are being denied. If they do not know their duties, they will fail to carry them out properly. And if they do not know lawful process, they will easily be frightened, easily manipulated, and easily, dispossessed. For that reason, legal ignorance is not a minor weakness. It is a condition that exposes the people to destruction. And we're going to prove it. We're going to prove it using scripture today. Absolutely. Law must first be understood as principle of divine government before one begins studying constitution, statutes, ordinance, court rules, or legal procedure. One must first understand why law exists at all. Because law exists because ordered existence requires governing standards. Without governing standards, there can be no real justice because no one would know the standard by which conduct is judged. Without governing standards, there can be no meaningful liberty because liberty without order quickly collapses into abuse. And without governing standards, there can be no secure property because possession would be determined by force instead of right. And without governing standards, there can be no peace because disputes would have no recognized method of resolution. So let me break it down to you in the simplest form. We all see these movies where they have what they call, they create this atom smasher and it creates an atom, right? And they talk about just great ball of energy. Oh, we have to be able to control it, etc. And if they don't control it, it explodes, right? And boom, it becomes a catastrophe. That's what you are. You are like that atom, a great ball of forceful, powerful energy, right? That if it's not controlled with moral sense and principles and things of that nature, you are self-destructive and you will destruct and you will cause harm to others without law being able to control and bound you, because the law itself is also good for the conscious mind. So now you have to understand, without it, you are definitely a destructive people and will always be considered to be, and you will live in that now, right? So you got to understand what is actually being said to you, okay? Law therefore serves several essential functions in civilized life. It establishes order by defining the framework in which society operates. It establishes accountability by attaching consequences to conduct. It establishes justice by providing standards through which right and wrong can be measured in public affairs. It establishes social structure by recognizing offices, duties, rights, relationships, and limits. It also establishes predictability. This is one of the most important features of law. Make sure y'all mute out. Citizens must be able to know in advance the basic rules that govern conduct. If law is hidden, arbitrary, constantly shifting, or selectively applied, then people are no longer living under law. They are living under the will of men. Need to be able to recognize that. The average citizen should pay close attention to that point. There's a difference between the rule of law and the rule of men. Under the rule of law, everyone is measured by the same governing standard. Listen to what I'm saying. You have to listen, okay? Everyone is governed unto the same standard, and authority must justify its conduct according to law. Under the rule of men, outcome depend on favoritism, influence, prejudice, private motive, arbitrary command, or selective enforcement. The first condition produces stability. The second produces oppression, right? A lawful people must therefore learn not only to obey law, but also to recognize when officials, institutions, or agencies are themselves acting outside those lawful bounds as well. This is why divine law and civil law must be properly distinguished, but also properly connected. Divine law establishes the higher moral reality that justice, order, truth, duty, and accountability are not optional. Civil law is the practical government structure by which a nation attempts to administer those principles in public life. Civil law is not identical to divine law in every detail because human governments are limited and imperfect. However, civil law at its strongest and most just when it reflects the foundational principles of order, equal justice, due process, honesty, accountability, and restraint of wrongdoing. Right? A citizen who understands this will stop viewing law as a burden and begin viewing it as a necessary instrument of peace and protection. Law is not only about punishment, law is about preservation. It preserves life by restraining violence. It preserves property by recognizing ownership and punishing theft. It preserves liberty by limiting unlawful detention and arbitrary power. It preserves justice by requiring procedure, evidence, and lawful process. It preserves peace by giving men a mechanism to resolve disputes without descending into chaos or retaliation. So without law, that's exactly what you would get. It would be chaos. Everybody think that they can take in justice within their own hand. And well, you can look right now on just how people are declaring what should be judged and what not, how people think things should be judged. And they ain't never had a real full moral compass in their life. So no, justice should not be in everybody's hand. That's why I say justice is only for those who are willing to carry the law. That's a fact. So when this foundation is understood, the citizen begins to see the study of the law is not merely for lawyers, judges, or scholars. It is for the people. A society where only specialists understand the law is a society where people are vulnerable. Is that not you? Can they not tell you I ain't taking your case? Yeah, a lawyer can tell you that. The passage teaches that authority is not random and that civil government, my bad, I went too far. But a society in which ordinary citizens understanding their rights, duties, and lawful protection becomes harder to exploit. Such a people are more disciplined, more capable, more difficult to deceive, and better equipped to preserve both liberty and order. But when you don't know this type of stuff, you go out there and you say, you get your picket sticks and you holler, we want justice. We want peace. And that says, we don't know the law. So we can't have peace and we can't have no justice. That's all you're saying. That's exactly what you're saying. See, Romans chapter 13 says submission to lawful authority when you go and read it. Romans 13, 1-7. All right. And Romans 13 is one of the most discussed passages concerning government authority and obedience. It is often quoted, but not always carefully understood. So the passage teaches that authority is not random and that civil government occupies a real place within the order of society. It teaches that authority has a purpose and that law exists to restrain wrongdoing and maintain public order. However, the passage must be read with precision. It does not teach blind worship of rulers, nor does it transform every action of government into righteousness merely because an official performed it. Rather, it teaches that authority itself has an ordained place within the order of society and that citizens are not to live in rebellion against a lawful order. Right? Ever. All right? So understand that. The passage began by instructing every soul to be subject unto the higher powers. Every soul. Okay? This means the citizen is not to treat lawful authority with contempt, recklessness, or anarchic defiance. Government is part of the ordering structure through which public life is managed. Roads, courts, taxation, contracts, criminal enforcement, public safety, and administration do not operate in a vacuum. Government is part of how society restrains disorder. The citizen, therefore, has a duty to recognize lawful authority and to understand that authority has a function within the larger order of God. That goes back to me telling you, remember and knowing who you are. You are law and order yourself. You set rules. You set law to yourself to, one, be in control of yourself. You set boundaries. That order exists within you. You have to learn how to say yes to things and no to things. That is setting order. That is setting boundaries. So that is automatically a natural thing that's going to exist in your home and everywhere else that you go to. So it's only right that man know the law that which he live in. Because this is what God has to say to those that don't, right? The text also teaches that rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. This line is critical because it reveals the purpose of civil authority. Authority is not justified merely because it exists. Authority is justified in relation to its proper role. Their role includes restraint of wrongdoing and condemnation of what is good. Y'all got to remember the test is the test is the flesh against the spirit, right? It's the adversary. It's the one that relies in greed. It's the thing that, anything that you can see or think of when it comes to if you move strictly into the desires of the flesh and then you turn into the dog eat dog type of world that can be created, that people often live through. You see what I'm saying? This is how you get there, being lawless. Absolutely. Being lawless will definitely get you there, right? So in plain language, government is supposed to uphold order, punish conduct that injures society, and protect the lawful peace of community. This means the proper reading of Romans 13 is functional, not blindly personal. The office exists for a purpose. When authority operates according to lawful purpose, it serves a valid social role. Whenever authority departs from lawful purpose, it creates tension with the very principle that justifies it all day long. So this distinction matters greatly for the average citizen. Many people assume Romans 13 means that believers must quietly accept every command, every abuse, and every unlawful order, every procedural violation, or every deprivation without question. But see, you got to understand, everybody is bound to the law. So even those who sit in the seats to judge, God also told them, hey, be careful how you judge, buddy. You under the law too. If you step outside of those boundaries, anybody that goes against the grain of the law itself, which is the authority, which is what God has set amongst over men. So if you go against that, that's going against God, and you will be punished. It don't matter that you sit in a seat. It don't matter. But the people are not supposed to just blindly follow something. That is not a sound reading. Submission to lawful authority does not mean surrendering one's duty to truth, justice, and righteousness. It does not require a citizen to become ignorant. It does not require a citizen to abandon lawful remedy. It does not require silence in the face of corruption, fraud, misconduct, or abuse of office. Rather, it requires recognition that public order matters and that citizens are not to become lawless themselves in response to problems within the government. You got to be able to operate within it too, right? This is where many people miss the depth of Romans 13. The passage does not remove the need for lawful accountability. In fact, it assumes lawful accountability because it describes what rulers are for. If a ruler is said to be a minister for good, then government is being measured by a standard. If authority is said to punish evil and support good, then authority is not beyond judgment. It is subject to purpose. That means the citizen must know enough law to identify the difference between lawful authority and unlawful conduct committed under color authority. You got to know. Oh, man. Wait till you see what God said about you rejecting the knowledge of the law. Yeah, wait till you see what he said. And then you look at yourself and your people today. Yeah. A master level understanding of Romans 13, therefore, produces a disciplined citizen, not a passive slave. The disciplined citizen does not become rebellious against lawful order. At the same time, the disciplined citizen does not become ignorant of legal limits, constitutional restraints, procedural protections, or the duties imposed upon public officers. The disciplined citizen learns the law so that he may live uprightly, conduct his affairs properly, and when necessary, hold institutions to the standard they themselves are bound to uphold. Yeah. Romans 13 also addresses tribute, custom, fear, and honor. This means the citizen must understand that civic life includes practical obligations. Taxes and lawful dues and public responsibilities are part of organized society. One cannot demand the benefits of social order while rejecting every duty that helps maintain that order. You didn't put in on this, man. You don't deserve it, right? That's just what it is. So, yet even here, wisdom is required. Proper obligation must be distinguished from unlawful exaction. A lawful tax is not the same thing as an arbitrary taking. A valid public duty is not the same thing as an abusive demand outside the lawful authority. Again, knowledge of the law becomes essential. The citizen must know what is owed, to whom it is owed, why it is owed, and under what authority it is owed. That's your duty to know. Yeah, your duty. So what does Romans 13 teach in practical terms for the person living today? It teaches that lawful order is real. It teaches government has a legitimate role. It teaches that the citizen must not become disorderly, violent, reckless, right? Ever. Cannot. Do not disobey it, guys. It teaches that wrongdoing invites consequences. It teaches that public authority should function in service of justice and peace. It also teaches by necessary implication that citizens must know enough to discern whether the government is operating within the bounds of lawful purpose. A person who quotes Romans 13 but refuses to learn the law has no full understood of the passage. One cannot properly submit to lawful authority without first understanding what lawful authority is. So you got to think about it. We do a lot of praying, we do a lot of preaching, we do a lot of things, but we do not teach and practice the law. We do not teach people the law of the land which we live. And which is why God said, y'all gonna be calling my name, but I don't hear a thing. Right? Watch what he said in Hosea 4:6. The warning that people are destroyed for lack of knowledge is one of the clearest statements of practical consequences found in Scripture. Ignorance is not neutral. Ignorance does damage. It leaves a person exposed to loss. It weakens judgment. It destroys confidence, causes preventable error, and permits avoidable harm to enter one's life. In legal matters especially, ignorance has severe consequences because law often operates whether or not a person understands it, right? Its deadlines continue to run. Rights may be waived, property may be transferred, judgment may be entered, remedies may be lost, contracts may become enforceable, penalties may attach. In many areas of law, ignorance does not stop the machinery of consequences, none whatsoever. So for the average citizen, this point cannot be overstated. Most people do not lose rights only because someone openly overpowered them. Many lose rights because they did not know what to do, when to do it, and how to respond, and what to preserve, what to object to, what to demand, or what process the other side was required to follow. In that sense, legal ignorance becomes a silent destroyer. A person may be sincere. You can be a hardworking person, a moral and peaceful, yet you're going to suffer for devastating loss because he did not understand the governing law applicable to his situation. You can know all that. You can be a great Christian man, a great Muslim, a great whatever. But if you don't know that law, you're going to suffer for your ignorance. You rejected God still. Ignorance of the law creates vulnerability in several ways. First, it causes people to enter legal relationships without understanding their obligation. This includes lease, loans, credit agreements, installment contracts, servant agreements, business arrangements, guarantees, and employment relationships. If you don't know the Truth in Lending Act, the FCRA, or the FDCPA, then why are you out here doing contracts? You're opening yourself to take losses, right? A person who signs without understanding may bind himself to terms he cannot later escape. Second, ignorance causes people to mishandle disputes. They fail to answer notices, disregard court papers, speak carelessly, miss deadlines, neglect evidence, or appear in wrong capacity. Third, ignorance allows others to exploit them. Agencies, collectors, contractors, landlords, employers, and even public officials may take advantage of a person's lack of knowledge, right? Fourth, ignorance breeds fear. People who do not know the law are easily intimidated by paperwork, uniforms, legal terminology, and official posture, right? So that fear has social consequences. And ignorant people become dependent upon others for every legal issue, even basic ones. They do not read governing documents for themselves. They do not examine procedure. They do not verify authority. They do not challenge defects. They do not ask whether the law was followed. Over time, this creates a culture where the people are governed by appearance instead of understanding. That's what we have today. Whatever looks official is assumed to be lawful. Whatever sounds authoritative is assumed to be valid. And whatever is said forcefully is assumed to be true. And that is a dangerous condition for any nation. That is the reason why they continue to spit out bullshit through these news channels to you guys, because they give you this perspective. They want you to think that it's lawful. They want you to think that all of this. But if you actually read the law, it is totally separate from what is actually supposed to be going on. So knowledge, by contrast, changes the civil posture. Knowledge creates calmness because the person begins to understand process. Knowledge creates precision because the person learns what issue actually matters. Knowledge creates confidence because the person stops relying on emotional reaction and begins relying upon standards, procedure, and lawful remedy. Knowledge creates discipline because the person learns that legal success often depends not on noise, anger, or fear, but on timing, documentation, lawful demand, evidence preservation, and correct use of the process. So I can count numerous of times how many of you have came into this class and you've been shy, scared to speak, didn't know what to say, how to feel, whatever. But now you speak with a lot of confidence because you read. You're having a greater understanding. You're not afraid of a letter anymore. You're not afraid of any of a court case to deal with one, especially after you done won once or twice. You're going to continue to keep doing it. See, this is what the law do. It liberates you. Yeah. Yeah, it set a whole different fire within you. Right? The warning against destruction through ignorance therefore has direct legal application. A people who do not know the law can be fined without understanding the basis, sued without asserting available defenses, dispossessed without demanding proof, arrested without understanding process, taxed without understanding classification, and administratively burdened without knowing the limits of agency. Such a people are easier to manage, but they are not secure. So that means you're easy to manage. Oh, we can tell you anything. We can make you move. We can make you run to the stores when we're ready for you to do this. We can make you do anything. A free and stable society requires citizens who know enough legal law to identify what is happening around them and to respond in disciplined and lawful manner. This does not mean every person must become a professional lawyer. This is not the standard. The standard is that every citizen should attain a functional legal literacy. A functional legal citizen should know the structure of government, the place of the Constitution, the meaning of the rights, the importance of procedure, the force of contrast, the significance of evidence, the role of due process, and the value of timely response. The citizen should know how to read public documents carefully, how to preserve records, how to ask the right questions, and how to avoid being trapped by ignorance. That level of knowledge alone would transform the position of millions of people. Now, let me say, let's go actually read, because I want y'all to understand. Let's read Hosea, right? 4 and 6. Let's go read what it says. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge, right? I reject you from being a priest to me. And since you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. So when you read Romans 13, God said, hey, I establish law everywhere. That's my order. I gave that, right? I did all of that. I gave the law. The law that you have, I said it. You go against it, you go against me. That's just a simple fact. So now, here's the thing. If you reject knowledge of the law, you're going to suffer, family. Do we not got people losing their homes because they don't understand the law? Do we got not people losing their cars, their life? Come on. Do we got not people being put into jail forever just because of due process of law violations? But if the issue is not raised, if the defense is not raised, their ass is going to jail. I'm telling y'all, I don't know how to say this to especially my people. This is why you suffer. They pick on these particular low-income urban areas, et cetera, because they know you are uneducated by the law. And economics reflects that. Everything reflects it, that you are not in order. I don't care how moral principally sound you might say. I don't care how many days you walk in church on Sundays or whatever, on a Friday in the temple or Saturday. Well, I don't care how many times you do it. If you don't know this law, you're going to suffer. Now, you got to also understand the Bible says, in heaven as it is on earth, in Hebrew, and on earth as it is in heaven in the King James Version. But however, It's all happening in the same place, guys. So just because you got to go, you got to know the law. The law has already been set. The order has been set. There is no day that God is finna stand up before everybody and cast a judgment. That means that your day comes when when justice meets you. Oh, it comes. Everybody got a day. It ain't just one big special day because the law is always constant in effect and a binding. Oh, it is. So you guys have to start truly understanding that. And that's the reason why Joshua 1:8 says you need to study the law. You need to do everything that's written within it so that you may become prosperous and successful. But if you don't study the law, you're not. You're going to fail. God will not know you when you call upon him from justice. He don't see you. And by you not knowing the law, it shows that you are evildoers of the law. You're gonna transgress against it. It's a fact. The command to meditate on the book of law of the day and night reveals the legal knowledge is not meant to be occasional. It becomes part of disciplined life. Study is not reserved for crisis. It is a daily habit. This is one of the most overlooked principles in both spiritual life and civic life. Many people wait until their problem before they begin studying law. By that time, they are already behind. They are reading under pressure, making decisions in fear, and trying to learn fundamentals while suffering active harm. That is an unstable position. Daily study produces a different kind of a citizen. A citizen who studies regularly becomes familiar with legal language, structure, process before trouble comes. Such a person begins to understand how government is organized, how rights are framed, how courts operate, how public authority is limited, how obligations arise in contracts and statutes. This knowledge compounds over time. At first, the person may only understand broad principles. Later, he begins to recognize patterns. He sees how terms are used, how procedure determines outcome, how small defects can become major issues, and how rights can be preserved or lost based on timing and conduct. Meditation in this context is not mere repetition. It includes deep consideration, careful examination, practical application. In legal study, this means one should not read law casually. One should ask what a provision means, what it applies to, what duty it creates, what right it protects, what procedure it requires, what remedy it authorizes, what limit it imposes, and how it operates in real life. Reading without understanding is not enough, right? The goal is not simply exposure to legal language. The goal is comprehension that can guide conduct and protect your rights. That's what we own. The person committed to lawful citizenship should therefore adopt the study discipline. This discipline should include regular reading of foundational government documents, especially the Constitution, the major rights protection, basic court procedure, if you got treaties as well, rules concerning evidence and notices, and the statutory areas most likely to affect ordinary life, such as housing, contracts, debt, family obligations, employment, property, administrative enforcement. A person does not need to master every field at once. What matters is continuity, daily study, even in small portions, right? Produces understanding that occasional panic reading never can. So you want to make sure that you do this daily, guys. Joshua 1:8 also teaches that success is connected to lawful mediation and observance. This principle has practical force in public life. The citizen who studies and applies lawful principles is less likely to speak carelessly, sign recklessly, default unnecessarily, ignore critical notices, or forfeit available protections. Study leads to wisdom, and wisdom produces more effective conduct. In this sense, disciplined study of law is not an intellectual hobby. It is the method of preserving one's household, property, peace, and public standing. So the average citizen should understand that legal order does not reward laziness, right? And rights may exist, but rights must often be asserted properly. Remedies may exist, but remedies usually require procedure. Protections may exist, but protection must often be invoked with correcting timing and evidence, meaning raising your own issues and defenses, right? This is why discipline matters. The person who studies law consistently is preparing himself not merely to argue, but to act correctly when action becomes necessary. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? That's what we want you to do. So law originates in divine order because God established a world governed by truth, structure, consequence, and justice. Human society cannot function rightly without law because law is what transforms a crowd into a people and a territory into an ordered nation. Right? Romans 13 teaches that lawful authority has a legitimate place in public order and that citizens are not to live in rebellion against rightful government. Right? Hosea teaches that ignorance destroys people. And in legal life, that destruction often comes through loss of rights, property, peace, remedy. Joshua teaches that law must be studied continuously, not merely admired and from a distance or consulted in moments of crisis, right? So make sure that you take on, guys. Make sure you take it on. This is not something to play with. And I said, you got to start with yourself. Argue not law and order. Right now, if I come to your house and I do something that you don't like, that's you setting law and order. So that's already within you. That's part of you. That's part of who and what all of us are. It is the divine that's in you because that is that of our Father. So that's why I say this law and order had to be created because you have to know the adversary is the flesh. Look at how people would act completely in the flesh, not within the spirit. They are destructive to themselves and others. So they're like a ticking time bomb. They're like a ball of energy that is out of control. And what happens? It explodes, just like you see on the movies, right? That's the same thing. If you are not, right? This is why we must be. This is why we must be, guys. So understand that law and civilizations, nations are built on law. Every bit of it, right? Law forms the structure foundation of every organized society because it establishes the rules that allows individuals to coexist peacefully within a shared environment. You need law and rules in your house because if you don't have it, what you think gonna happen in your home if you don't lay down rules to your children, etc., and everybody in there? You don't got some type of rules. And the ones that don't, you walk in their home, is nasty as hell. The kids is willing to tell you to sit your ass down when you come in and they run the house. All kind of stuff happens. Because there's no structure. There's no order. There's no discipline within self. See, this is why the law and order is so important. It is because to have that discipline, we are creatures of habits. So if you keep creating habits of self-destruction, then that's what's going to happen to you. That's what you chose to align with. Right? Now, this is the thing. God don't care if you believe him, believe the law. None of that matters. The law don't care if you think that it has authority or not. It'll show you more than it can tell you. Just find out. Test the waters and see with your bad ass. That's all you got to do. You're going to find out very quick that what you thought is a whole lot different, ain't it? Absolutely. So consider the simple example of property ownership without law. There would be no recognized method to determine who owns lands, buildings, or goods. Possession would depend entirely upon physical control or force. Stronger individuals or groups could simply seize property without consequences. Law prevents these conditions by defining ownership, recognizing title, and providing remedies when property is unlawfully taken or damaged. So similarly, law governs the formation of enforcement of agreements. So when individuals enter into contracts, whether for employment, service, credit, business arrangement, the law establishes that the standards that determine whether the agreement is valid, whether it must be performed, what remedies are available if a party fails to fulfill the actual obligation. Without such legal rules, promises would be meaningless and commerce would collapse because no one could rely upon commitments of others. There's nothing to hold you accountable. And then if there's no law for that, now you got somebody that can take, now let's just say this. Let's say, for instance, that there was no law for these people, for these banks. And they can just say, oh, you ain't paid. We finna come take your stuff. But then you like, hold on. They can, because they got more force to do so. But the law says something different. The holder in due course and all this other type of stuff that goes along with it, right? So that keeps a, you know, so much of a stronger force of an enemy or whatever being able to just come and take. But without the law itself, they can. And that also means when I say without the law, that means without knowledge of the law, they can come take your stuff. They're going to take it. So it matters. Throughout history, successful civilization have recognized the necessity of formal legal system. Different societies have developed different legal traditions, but each has relied upon law to maintain order and govern relationships among people. Ancient Babylon established one of the earliest recorded systems of written law, and these laws were publicly displayed so that citizens could understand the standards governing conduct within society. The existence of written law created predictability because individuals could know in advance what actions permitted and what actions would bring punishment. Right? So this been around. The American legal structure. Remember, constitutional law forms the highest level of authority within the legal system. The Constitution establishes the structure of government and defines the fundamental principles that governs the nation. It determines how governmental power is distributed, identifies the powers granted to each branch of government, and places limits upon the exercise of that power. The Constitution also recognizes the fundamental rights that must be protected from unlawful interference by government authorities. These protections create boundaries, what government officials cannot cross without violating the government legal framework of the actual nation, right? So know that. And statutory law consists of laws enacted, which means they have to be in line with the actual Constitution. And if you came to the Foundations of Law of the Lawman series last month on the fourth Wednesday, then you learned that. Right? It's very important. Very, very important. Statutes are necessary because the Constitution establishes general principles, but does not provide detailed rules. So for every practical situation that arises in society, legislatures therefore enact statutes to implement policies and establish procedures that operate within the broader Constitution framework. So it says operate within. That's due process. So that means they have to stay within the authority that was given to the legislature to legislate on. So that means if Congress got the power to regulate commerce, then that means they get to create the law to regulate commerce, things of that nature, right? So just make sure that you understand that. So common law traditions represent the accumulated body of legal principles developed through court decisions. So common law, therefore, provides continuity and stability within the legal system. It allows the law to develop gradually through interpretation rather than constant legislative change. But however, you have to know it cannot still supersede the Constitution, no matter what. Cannot. So, one essential purpose of law is the recognition and protection of rights. Another purpose is the limitation of governmental power, so they don't have too much government overreach. Law also promotes accountability within the government. So that means including you. Public officials operate under legal obligations that require them to act within the scope of their lawful authority. Do you actually know what they're supposed to be in? Because if not, what's the purpose of voting for these people? What's the purpose of any of this if you're not going to be in full participation as a great citizen of the United States of America? Right? The existence of structured legal system creates responsibility for citizens as well as for government officials. A citizen living within a nation benefits from the protections provided by law. By these protections depend upon the citizen's willingness to understand and respect the legal framework governing society. So you got to understand it. You're not going to know tax benefits or anything like that if you don't read the law and take the time to find out. Citizens should recognize that rights and duties operate together. Rights provide protection and freedom, and while duties ensure those rights are exercised responsibly within the community. A person who demands rights must disregard lawful duties, undermines the stability of legal order, and that protects those rights. So if you disregard the lawful duties and you undermine the stability of legal order, that protects those rights as well. So just make sure you understand that. So for this reason, responsible citizenship includes the effort to understand the basic structure of the nation's legal system. You need to know just the basics. I say everybody ought to be able to go in and handle a traffic ticket. I mean, dang, you've been preparing since 16 or 15 or whatever to get on the road and travel. But yet, as soon as you get on there are constitutional rights to deal with you. And a child could get into a situation that means that they be tried as an adult. So you got to really start thinking about, is it okay just to send your child out here who's 16 years of age and don't know not one damn thing about the law? None whatsoever. I think that's kind of ignorant of the people. All we wanted you to do was learn the signs, and that's it. That was it. There's a such thing as called due process. There's a such thing that if they do racial profiling, if they extend the traffic stop any longer, or it's a lot of stuff that goes into that a 16-year-old child is not going to understand, none whatsoever, especially if they ain't been taught anything about the law. And that's why a lot of our young men and women suffer, because we just ready to throw them out there to the wolves. I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to achieve with you guys today.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
I really do. This is real important for you to know it. The Constitution and the moral law. The Constitution as the supreme law of the nation. Right? So the United States Constitution operates as a central governing framework of the American legal system. It establishes the structure of government, defines the distribution of authority, and places binding limits upon the exercise of governmental power. In doing so, it provides legal foundation through which the nation is governed and through which the rights of the people are protected. So you got to know it's not merely a political document. It is the highest civil legal instrument within a nation's legal order. So you should definitely have an understanding of something that is considered the highest law. Within the American legal system, the Constitution holds the highest authority. It governs the entire structure of the federal and state government and establishes the legal framework within which all other laws must operate. Excuse me. This position of supremacy ensures that no statute, regulations, or governmental action can override the foundational principles established by the actual Constitution. So, but they also have to be limited. You see what I'm saying? Cannot be overreach. One of the most important principles established by the Constitution is that government power is limited. But see, here's the thing, people. Are you aware of the limitations of the government? They do not possess unlimited authority. Their powers exist only because the Constitution created the offices, which is the jurisdiction they occupy, and define the authority attached to those offices. They must fully perform. But the question is the people fully aware of it? Right? Are you aware of every branch? The executive, legislative, and judicial. Or do you know those? Do you know the operation functions of those? Number one, guys, rights are protected by law. Law didn't create them, they protected them. The constitutional system recognizes that individual possesses rights that must be protected from improper interference by government. So, guys, your rights already exist. There's nothing that you have to go out here to do to have a right. Okay? The Constitution don't create a right. It protects them. Let's get that understood first. Right? Yeah, it's already in you. But do you know? So these rights represent fundamental interests that allow individuals to live, work, communicate, and participate in society without arbitrary intrusion. The Constitution, therefore, functions as a protective barrier between the individual and the misuse of governmental authority. By establishing legal protection for rights, the Constitution ensures that government cannot interfere with certain aspects of individual life without proper legal justification. Got to be present. But again, you suffer for the lack of knowledge because you don't know. Yeah. We too busy going around screaming, fuck the law. All this old type of stuff. But then you're going to need the law to save you when you in a situation. It's crazy as shit. Mm-hmm. Then you get mad because how they use the procedure and due process, but you like, man, they use it against us. Yeah, I think you use it against yourself for not knowing it. Because then you can hold those accountable that is acting outside of it. The law has no prospective person. I'm going to show that to you today too. The role of the courts in enforcing constitutional law. When you go into those courts, you stand before God. And God already said, hey, I don't know you. You don't know the law. You rejected me. I told you. Told you needed to know the law. But here you are today. And you didn't take heed to what I said. And I can't help you. You're about to suffer in here today. So it happens. Right? The constitutional system relies on courts to interpret and apply constitutional principles where disputes arise. Courts serve as a forum where individuals and institutions may challenge actions that are believed to violate the constitutional framework. But you got to know it. Got to know it. The essential role the judicial system plays in maintaining the rule of law. Courts do not create the Constitution, but they are responsible for their obligations within it, for interpreting its meaning when conflicts arise, and their decisions help clarify how constitutional principles apply in practical situations and ensure that the legal system remains consistent with the foundation rules established by the nation. Right? And it also protects your pre-existing rights in full, no matter what. But this the thing about it. It can't protect a right that you don't raise. That's why it says in the First Amendment that you have the right to go to the government for any redress and grievance that you may have. But if you don't know that you got them, how can they protect it? Right? Equal protection of the law. Now, this is what we finna dive into. Y'all lied in here? Y'all been quiet. Y'all been quiet in here now. I just want to make sure y'all good. We had to take a little side quest today. I think it's necessary. All right. Equal protection of the law. So now, first of all, God is considered a righteous God. And all law that God has set forth amongst the men is considered to be righteous. And God said, free my people. Let my people go. But God also told the people, yeah, you free, but hey, you got to know the law. You can't remain lawless. Right? God said, I'm going to protect you. You got equal protection of the law. And a lot of people don't understand the 14th Amendment, but we're going to break it down today, and I'm going to show you how God is in control. Not you, not your thoughts, not what you think, and not how you try to discredit what God has established. Stop thinking that you know better than God. Can we all do that?
Amen.
I am that I am.
Everything that is in existence today, right now, is because God said so. Who are we to question that? Because when you read Romans 13, God said, I set this. I gave law. I set people in those seats. So all y'all hate Donald Trump. God put him there. Have a problem with God. See if you really want those problems. I don't think you do. You don't want that type of smoke. Be careful who you speak on. That's all I'm going to say. Now, the historical problem after slavery. Let's understand this to the fullest. The end of Civil War marked a decisive turning point in the legal and political development of the United States. The abolition of slavery formally ended a system that had deprived millions of individuals of liberty, legal recognition, and protection under the law. Right? However, the conclusion of the war did not immediately resolve the legal and social challenges created by that system. The nation entered into a transitional period during which the legal status of newly freed people had to be defined, protected, and integrated into the broader framework of American law. Freedom alone did not automatically produce equal treatment under the law. Although slavery had been abolished, many state governments adopted new legal measures. Now you got to understand at this particular time, of course, the states have the republic form of government, means they get to create legislature and all of that type of stuff. Now you're going to understand why the 14th Amendment had to be written, because God said, hey, I freed my people. Don't play with my people. I'm going to show you what he said. And anybody want to deny that? It ain't denying me, you're denying God. That's all I'm going to say. So these measures became known collectively as the Black Codes, is what you have. So they were enacted in various states during the period immediately following the Civil War, and were designed to regulate the conduct, movement, and economic activity of free people in ways that preserve elements of the old social order. So understanding this period is essential for any citizen studying constitutional law, because it explains why significant legal reforms were necessary to protect the rights of individuals within the American legal system. The legal problems that arose during the time led directly to the adoption of constitutional provisions designed to ensure that all persons would receive equal protection of the laws. All right, so now, as you know, throughout history, like Louisiana, Texas, and all of this type of stuff, right? You know that the first people of those governments were what color? Say it.
Copper. They were copper.
Yeah, they were dark people. So I want you to put that in your mind too as we continue to move forward. So the transition from slavery, the abolition of slavery, created a new legal system and a new reality within the United States, right? So these people were freed. Freedom meant that formerly enslaved individuals were no longer subject to ownership or forced labor. However, freedom also required the legal system to determine how these individuals would be recognized within the structure of civil society. And this included determining whether they could own property, enter contracts, move freely, work independently, and participate in civic life. All right. So during this transitional period, many citizens and officials disagreed about how these questions should be resolved. Now, you have to remember during this time, citizenship was only described by the state. Y'all do know that, right? Oh, y'all didn't know. Let me ask y'all again. Did you know at that time that citizenship was only defined by the state?
Nope. Nope.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, citizenship was only defined by the state. And the states were allowed to say who can be a citizen or whatever in relation to their legislative laws. This is the reason why the 14th Amendment was written. You finna find out why? So in several states, legislators adopted laws that impose special strict restrictions upon newly freed individuals. These laws became known as Black Codes because they specifically targeted the conduct and rights of formerly enslaved people. Although the exact provisions vary from state to state, the general purpose of these laws was to maintain social and economic control over the freed population. Black Codes attempted to regulate many aspects of daily life. Some laws limited the ability of free individuals to travel freely or relocate without permission. Others restricted the times of employment that free individuals could pursue or required them to enter labor contracts under conditions that closely resembled the economic dependency of the previous system, which is a form of damn slavery. They was introducing chattel. Additional laws imposed limitations on property ownership and the ability to participate fully in civic activities. In some cases, these laws created special penalties of enforcement mechanisms that apply primarily to only the free population, right? So that's called a bill of attainder. You're creating bill of attainders that pertain specifically to one group of people and nobody else. Can't do shit like that. So these legal restrictions did not restore slavery in formal sense, but they created a system of control that undermined the practical meaning of freedom by limiting movement. So you got to think about it. You're freed, but then the state's still creating laws that don't really give you full liberty. Yeah, they controlling everything about you. So I want you to think about it. Now think of God as the national government sitting like, yeah, free my people. They out of captivity now. They ain't supposed, yeah, they free now. I'm freeing them. And they can go out. You go out and be into the state. Now he realized that I can't punish the states for the wrongdoing that they're doing to these people because we haven't established it in the constitutional law, right? So understand that. One of the common features was restriction of movement and personal autonomy. Realize that. Some laws require free persons to obtain documentations verifying their employment or residence. Without such documentations, individuals could be detained or subjected to penalties. That was one of those things. Personal autonomy was also affected by laws that require labor contracts between freed individuals and employers. These contracts often contain strict conditions governing employment, duration, and behavior. In violation of these rules, contracts could result in penalties of forced labor arrangement and place individuals in situations of continued economic dependencies. So just look at what's happening. Look how they're being treated, right? They were limited to owning property, economic independence. There was so many restrictions. So what was the impact on liberty and legal equality, right? The combined effect of these laws was to undermine the meaning of freedom for many newly free individuals. So they never were really free. Although slavery had been abolished, the legal restriction imposed black codes limited practical exercise of liberty in several important areas of life. Freedom requires more than the absence of formal bondage, meaning that just because they put the chains on you don't mean you was free. They still was creating laws against you, right? Yeah, that happened. Oh, so God said, oh, I got something for y'all. I'll tell you what. So the 14th Amendment had to be written. And God said, hey, I tell you what, I'm going to stop all this shit with the states that y'all doing. Since y'all want to undermine the authority here, we're going to create the 14th Amendment. And see, God said, hey, all y'all, everybody, anybody that is naturalized. Now, first you got to understand that people was naturalized. The freed men had to be naturalized into the fold, right? Then they children were natively born, which means they absolutely was considered natively born with, full rights and protection as well, right? And so he just didn't have a prospective person. So when you read the 14th Amendment, he said any person, I don't care who you are, where you from, Chinese, African-American, whatever you might be, who you think you might be, your nationality, ethnicity, religion, none of that shit matters. All these are my people. They all have equal protection to the law, and all these people still have full rights to due process. Everybody. God, law, has no perspective of person. I'll let y'all meditate on that before I continue. So y'all can let people stop lying to y'all. What is the
That part.
And this is see somebody said, what is the definition of person? That is so simple because it said any person. So any definition that you may try to use for a person, that means natural person, which is you, the living. Yeah, that means individual. That means anything that may be created has the equal protection of the law and the right to due process. Anybody that's under the fold of law. So while y'all try to determine whether it's this or that, any means all. That includes natural. Natural, which is the living people. Anybody want to disagree? Go ahead and disagree so you can take yourself out of the fold of the law. That's fine. That's what you've been doing anyway. That's the reason why you can't get any damn remedies. This is going to be hard for a lot of people to hear today, but it's okay. You'll be all right. If you're grown about it, you'll correct yourself. As we all must. I had to do it. You do too. So, the legal conflicts that emerged from following the Civil War revealed a serious weakness within the constitutional structure of the nature. Although slavery had been abolished, many state governments enacted laws that restricted the liberty and civil participation of newly free individuals. These laws undermined the practical meaning of freedom by limiting movement, restricting economic activity, and denying equal treatment under the law. The federal government responded to these conditions by adopting a constitutional amendment designed to strengthen the protection of individual rights against unlawful state action. The amendment became known as the 14th Amendment. Ratified in 1868, its purpose was to establish clear constitutional principles that would prevent states from depriving individuals of fundamental rights and ensure that the law applied equally to all persons within the nation. 14th Amendment, therefore, serves as one of the most important legal provisions within the constitutional system. It defines national citizenship, it establishes procedural protections for individual liberty, and requires states to provide equal protection of the laws. These principles created a stronger constitutional framework designed to safeguard individuals from abuses of governmental power at the state level. Because what was the state doing to the freedmen? What was they doing, y'all? Come on.
Restricting their autonomy.
Yeah. So the purpose of this 14th Amendment is a fundamental issue that had become evident during the Reconstruction period. Prior to its adoption, the Constitution limited certain actions of federal government, but it did not clearly establish uniform protection against harmful actions taken by the state governments. So they had to restrict the states. As a result, because remember, the only thing that defined citizenship at that time was the states. The states were saying, hey, we ain't got to accept these people. God stepped in and said, all these people, my people. I don't care. Any of these people, and wherever they may be from, anybody that is within the jurisdiction of the United States. That also means the territories of the United States as well. Everybody protected. Everybody. But God also said, my people know my law too. I don't think y'all hearing me today for real. I don't think it. I don't think they hearing me today. This is real serious. So, the legal restrictions imposed by the Black Codes demonstrated the need for stronger national protections. Without clear constitutional safeguards, states could enact laws that undermine the liberty and civil rights of individuals even after slavery had been abolished. The 14th Amendment was adopted to correct these problems by establishing nationwide constitutional standards that states were required to follow. So God said, hey, these my people, they all, even if you're born in the Union States, you all consider citizens of the United States. So now you can come to the federal government and you can redress any grievances that you having with the state governments. Come to me. I don't think y'all hearing this. Man. Are y'all listening for real? You're quiet. I'm gonna give y'all opportunity to speak at this moment. Are y'all listening?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
hearing
Focus.
Bringing them back to the other conversation from last week in class.
Mm-hmm. Which Spark needs to do this ebook because it's important. Oh man, because people try to act like God ain't in control. What I'm watching and seeing is God is in control. God said, I freed everybody. Everybody free. Oh, y'all over here still creating these bullshit laws for my people? I tell you what, I'm going to claim everybody. All these people, my people. Everybody got equal protection to the law. Everybody got the right to due process. I don't care who you is. Is that not righteous?
Yes, it is. Like,
I mean, what do your spirit say? Does that not tell you that's God? You tell me. You make that choice.
amen.
You know? One of the most important provisions of the 14th Amendment is the Citizenship Clause. This clause defines who is recognized as a citizen of the United States and clarifies the relationship between national citizenship and state citizenship. Let's talk about it. This clause establishes that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States. Now, why does it say that? It says all. It didn't say some. It said all. All persons. All persons meaning no matter if a corporation was born and it was started, it still got equal protection and rights to the Bill of Law and due process. Why? Because you need a You need a warrant to go into to go and search their company's records and all of that type of stuff, right? Okay. And also when it comes to natural persons, whether y'all want to say these people don't have or who, yeah, they got equal protection of the rights. They got the right to due process of law. They got the right to the Bill of Rights. Show me somebody that don't. Can anybody show me that today? The only person that don't is a person that don't what? Know the law. So God identified those who are his people as the people who know and do the law. That's who mine. He didn't give you a color. He didn't give you a nationality. He didn't give you none of that shit. He just said, hey, you follow the law, you my people. That's who I recognize. I'm going to cover you. You bonded to me. Now, if you don't want to be, hey, that's your problem, man. I'm riding with God, yo. What God has established. If you want to go the other way, go the other way. We know what that shit look like. We seen what that looked like. That captivity came with that. I'm good on that part. I'd rather be in captivity with God himself than man. I'm straight on that. I'd rather be a bondservant to God. And that means that you a bondservant to be accountable and to uphold the law, to carry justice. That's your duty. Serve that bond. Because if you don't, you're going to be serving another prison bond. I'm just telling you. This is what it is. So the clause establishes that all persons are born or naturalized in the United States or citizens of the United States and also citizens of the state wherein they reside. So now you got to pay attention. The citizens of the state in when they reside. So yes, you are a citizen of the state that you reside in. Why did they say that? And I had to learn that part. Because if you move from one state to another, you automatically become a citizen of that state. You don't have to go take an oath to become and join that state like you would do if you joined another country. Because all states are in a social compact under the United States of America Constitution. Do y'all understand that? So you can become a citizen anywhere. Right now, you are a citizen of the place you live in. If you leave and go anywhere else, you become a citizen of that particular place right then and there by territorial jurisdiction. And you domicile, you live there, you reside there. Do y'all understand that?
Yeah, I got that.
Now, if you live in the territories, all right, if you live in the territory of Puerto Rico, you no longer become a what? Citizen, a state citizen. Because Puerto Rico is not a what? It's not a state. It's not a union state, right? It's a territory of the United States. So that means that it can only be governed by what? The federal constitution, which means that its citizens only can be citizens of the United States. So if you move to Puerto Rico right now, you immediately become a citizen of the United States, but a national of the, not a citizen, yeah, citizen of the United States. So you're a national, but non-citizen. You understand what I'm saying? A non-citizen of the Union States because you're no longer residing there. It's just that simple. It don't mean that you lose the damn due process and equal protection. That's embedded. That was the whole point of the 14th Amendment, to keep the states from treating you any type of way. Mm-hmm. And remember what I said. God don't care who believe it and who God don't care who don't believe it. So you ain't got to hear nothing I'm saying. I promise you don't. You can think and go the other way all you want to. Go ahead. You already know what this look like. You've been trying it that way. That's why you come here all the time. I can't get this. I tried this. Yeah. You denying what God has already set free. God set you free. Follow it. Follow it. Right? This provision created a clear legal rule for determining citizenship and ensured that individuals born within the country would possess recognized membership within the national community. By establishing birthright citizenship, the amendment eliminated uncertainty about the legal status of individuals who had previously been denied recognition as members of the political and civil community. Persons born within the United States were no longer dependent upon varying state laws. So they just told you. They took the power from the state to determine what a national or a citizen is of the United States. Do everybody understand that? They had to. Otherwise, if they didn't, you wouldn't be sitting here listening, especially me, what I look like. You wouldn't be listening to me talk to you today if this didn't happen. Right? Understand that part. Now, you got to also know that they had to fix this situation because these people were just the Buffalo soldiers and stuff. So if they need to know how to commute and create militias to do something, they could cause another uproar. But they knew the country had just came out of a whole damn war. We under the reconstruct. We ain't got time to be messing with these people. And they know the art of war and everything else. Like, we need to fix this case before we have another war here, because that's what's about to happen. And see, people don't understand that. It wasn't just that they were just going to not bow down. And no, they was like, okay, keep playing with us. Keep acting like we don't know. Mm-hmm. So the recognition of national citizenship, what happens? They took it away from the states. Okay? By establishing that. So by establishing this, the amendment eliminated uncertainty about the legal status of individuals who had previously been recognized as members of the political civil community. Persons born within the United States were no longer dependent upon varying state laws to determine whether they would be treated as citizens. Instead, citizenship was defined as at the national level and applied uniformly throughout the country. So the recognition of national citizenship also created a legal bond between the individual and the constitutional protections of the United States. Citizens could rely upon protections of the constitutional system regardless of the particular state in which they live, which is why you got 42 USC 1983 right now. It's the reason why those things exist. This principle strengthened the unity of the nation by establishing that citizenship and its associated protections were not dependent upon local policies or discriminatory state laws. This clause also confirmed that citizenship operates at two levels simultaneously. Individuals are citizens of the United States as a nation, and they are citizens of the state in which they reside. The dual relationship reflects the federal structure of the nation where authority is shared between national and state governments. Well, we just halfway through. Halfway through here. Was it worth the wait? I think it was, because I was going to get this done today.
Definitely worth the wait.
Yes, it was worth the wait.
So, due process clause. We're going to get through chapter 5, and then we're going to, let's see how long I've been on here. I forgot I did not start on time. Okay, we still good. The due process clause. Another central provision of the 14th Amendment is the due process clause. So this is why I want you to listen, right? Where they say, oh, this don't apply to these type of people and this and that. Yes, it does. Shut up. Another central provision of the 14th Amendment is the due process clause, which prohibits states from depriving. Let's look at this word. Any person of life. Any person. Keyword is any type of person. So can somebody name me what type of persons? Anybody. Name me the type of persons.
Any.
So let's call them out. Natural person, individual, trust, corporations. What else? Associations, foundations. Yeah, any person. That also means any person of nationality, any person of this, any persons of that, right? Absolutely. Yes, it was. I love when people say that. That wasn't, okay, that amendment was never ratified. It created a district citizen. You guys got to truly understand that we have to let go of that, because I can show you exactly when it was ratified. Would anybody care to know?
I would.
I would too.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. I talked about this already, and people just don't get that part. So I will just say, hold on, I'm finna get to y'all. At the time, guys, there were 37 states, so 28 states were required. Okay? They were required. So let me show you who was the last state, because it took them a few years. It took a few years for every state to follow through. So Connecticut was June the 25th, 1866. New Hampshire, 1866. Tennessee, 1866. New Jersey was 1866. That was later, in September. Then Vermont was in October 1866. New York didn't come to 1867. Ohio came in 1867. Illinois came in 1867. West Virginia, 1867. So everybody that's in 1867, they did it within some type of month. So West Virginia was January, Kansas, January, Minnesota would happen in January, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania was in February, Michigan was in February, Massachusetts was March, Nebraska was June 15, 1867, Ohio was in March, 1868, right? Then we got Arkansas came in 1868, Florida came in 1868, and then North Carolina, and then the last was the ratified amendments was already declared adopted. These ratified, so there was the 24th state, South Carolina, July the 9th, 1868. Then shortly after, Alabama came in 1868, Georgia 1868, but guess what? It was already declared. So 1869, they fully agreed to accept it. Mississippi, as well as Texas. Texas was the final state in 1870. So with that being said, it's ratified. I choose not to argue with anyone. All right, so let's keep going. So with that being said, due process, right? And this is the other thing, and I'm going to say this to anybody. So for anybody that feels like it has not been ratified, then what is your black ass doing? Well, so that means we're still in slavery. That means states can still write these particular laws that holds against you, and that means we, as the ignorant people that is considered to be black, is just going to continue to be stupid as shit and not establish and follow into a role of government. Are we that type of people? I don't think so. I don't think we were stupid enough to continue into stupid stuff when our people were set up in governments too. What do you guys think? Yeah. What y'all think? I'm talking to y'all in here too. I'll just be honest. Shit. A lot of people like to play. Right? This is real. And see, a lot of people try to come in and take away for what God has already said. God has already said it. It's already done. We ain't got to argue and do nothing to go and do anything. Look at what happened with the 13th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was ratified. It took a minute. It wasn't done on the first day. You see what I'm saying? But it did eventually happen. It happened. Do y'all understand that?
Yeah.
Who has a hard time of understanding that? We ain't got to go further. We can talk about it. I'm more than willing to talk about it. Because from my experience, I've experienced equal due process of the law. I've experienced the equal protection of the law. I've experienced that. I've used it. I've showed you guys how to use it. No matter what color, race, nationality, whoever you may think you are. Even if you had a trust or didn't have a trust. Did I not show you? Did you not use it? Did you not receive a remedy? Anybody?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm serious when I say this because We have to truly understand, and this is why it refers back to God. God is in control, not you, not me. God is. If God saw it fit to free his people and then it seen that the states was doing such and such, and brought it to the national government to claim everybody as citizens. Like, all right, I'll tell you what, since states was defining it, now I'm gonna do a national identity for all my people, everybody my people, and everybody is up under the law. You can't treat people wrong because they come from this place, they look like this, or this day race, or whatever. Everybody got equal protection to the law. Why would that not be? And my point is, why would we sit in a country that still does this? That's the point. Do y'all understand that?
Yes. And if we don't get this right, we are history repeating itself again.
So it is. So it is what it is. I'm just saying what I've personally experienced myself. If that's the case, then these so-called Black African American people, you would not own a home right now. You cannot own a crib right now. Like, you can't own a car. You wouldn't be able to go contract. You wouldn't be able to do a lot of stuff. Right now, we would not. The only reason we suffer because we don't know the law. Right? So now, due process represents one of the core principles legal system, the lawful legal system. It requires that government power be exercised in a manner that respects fairness, transparency, and accountability. Individuals can be deprived of significant rights or property interests through arbitrary actions or informal decision making. Instead, government must follow established procedures that allow individuals to understand the claims against them and respond appropriately. Several essential elements characterize due process. The first, the government must possess lawful authority to act. Officials cannot impose penalty restrictions unless the law grants the power to do so. Second, individuals must receive proper notice when government action may affect their rights or property. Notice ensures that a person is informed of the situation and has an opportunity to prepare a response. Third, due process requires a fair opportunity to be heard. Individuals must be allowed to present evidence, explain their positions, challenge the claims and made against them before a final decision is imposed. I've been able to do all of that and receive a remedy. Anybody?
Agreed.
So can anybody show me where I don't have that right? Because if the 14th Amendment was never ratified, then we don't got that right. We don't even got the right to stand in the courtroom. We can't even go in there and speak. You got to have a representative, a lawyer for you. I'm just asking. You know, it's just one of those things. Equal Protection Clause, the 14th Amendment establishes the principle of equal protection of the laws. The principle requires that state governments apply their laws in a manner that treats individuals fairly and without unjust discrimination. Equal protection does not mean that every law must produce identical outcomes for every individual. Instead, it requires the law operates according to consistent standards and that similarly situated individuals receive the same legal protection. Government may not selectively deny protection or impose burden upon certain groups without lawful justification. So, Equal Protection Clause therefore reinforces the idea that the legal system must operate impartially. Laws cannot be applied in ways that arbitrarily favor one group while disadvantaging another without legitimate reason. Now, when it says group, it means like criminals and whatever. But you got to understand, criminals got the right to due process and the right of protection of the law. It cannot show favoritism to anybody. Anybody. The principle is essential for maintaining public confidence in the legal system. Citizens must know that the laws apply to everyone according to the same standards. When laws are applied unequally, the rule of law is weakened and the stability of the legal system is threatened. Equal protection clauses addresses the specific problems that arose during the Reconstruction period, when certain states enacted laws designed to restrict the rights of newly freed individuals. By requiring equal protection, the amendment established a constitutional barrier against such discriminatory legislation and ensured that all persons within jurisdiction of the nation would receive the protection of the law. But remember, the only way you proceed to protection is if you what? Exercise it. Raise your own issues and defenses, protect yourself, know the law. The 14th Amendment significantly strengthened the constitutional system by expanding the protections available to individuals against unlawful state action. It established national standards for citizenship. National. And again, why was national standards having to be established, guys? Why? What does history say? You don't got to mention the 14th Amendment. Not, I don't have to mention the 14th Amendment. Nobody does. It still means you still got right to due process of law. The reason why you can go to there is because of 42 U.S.C. 1983. If you're going to sue anybody, you can take the state or any person in there because of that, which is a federal law. And they're able to do that because of the 14th Amendment was written. That's the point. That gave them the power to create that statute. Otherwise, you could not go to the federal government about anything that deals with the state. Wasn't possible at that particular time. Had to be fixed. Right? Had to be fixed. Understand that? So the law protects those who understand it. All right. We're going to stop right here. I'm going to let that marinate on y'all mind for the day. Because everyone has to have a fulfillment and understanding of the law. And that's a fact. So tell me, I want to hear you guys' thoughts of today. Raise your hands and speak to me. Whatever's on your mind and heart to say, please do so.
I've been wanting to look up the Bible more deeply, and you just gave me areas of where I want to actually start looking through for this exact reason here. So I highly appreciate this. I can't wait till you do part 2.
Appreciate you. This is a little hard subject for people to touch on because we, do regurgitated information. And then it's like, think about God. Think about what's righteous. Did God place you in a position right now to where things are not already fixed and aligned for you? But then, it all refers to going back to the law. When you read the whole entire Bible, that's all they talk about. Is that people kept rebelling against the damn law. Every damn time. They didn't want to know it, didn't care to know it, and they was out doing whatever they wanted to and being evildoers. He said that's why they were saying don't. See, people think the Gentiles was a color. The Gentiles were people who were lawless. Because why? He said don't be like the Gentiles over there. So I want you to think about it. When Moses was reading the law to the people, obviously he had a group of people in front of him who sought the law, who were seekers of the knowledge and wisdom of the law and wanted to be taught the law so they can obey the law. Then you had the other people over here who didn't know the law, was not seekers of the law, and didn't care to try to know it to obey the law, which were the Gentiles. He said, don't be like them. So obviously they wasn't in front of him trying to learn the law, was they? Y'all can speak. It's okay. That's what it's flow. I'm tired of talking to myself. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anybody else? Tony, what's up? You got your hand up. Oh, don't let me been read all this and I can't have a deep conversation with y'all now.
You got me ready to call my father and get back into another class with him because I'm so emotional right now. And
It's deep, yo. You heard?
And the fact that we're all growing, and it's like Come on now, man. We are the sleeping giants. Do you not understand that?
Yep.
When it takes a whole crew of motherfuckers, excuse my language, to come and surround you and attack you, you got to know who you are.
You know
We
why?
come from people
You,
who died to read, and we don't want to read, bro.
you know why they afraid of you? Why they afraid of us? I'm serious when I say this. We say this all the time about ourselves. We are the most judgmental people ever. We'll just tear us down. Do you know why they afraid of you? Because they know once you learn that law, you gon' govern with a cast iron fist. They know that. Cause you like that with you like that with each other right now. We don't let nobody. I'm talking about the black community. We don't let nobody get away with shit. We judging that shit quick. Everything about it. Right? I'm just be honest. We ain't playing about that. A lot of people, this society, we gonna judge you. So you gotta understand, they got 50-some million people here that do not like. I'm not gonna say all 50 million, but I don't think it's definitely a million people of our people that understand the law. But my point of me saying that we got all these type of people here, bro, that don't know the law. And we are so strict on each other when it comes to how we cast down judgment on each other. We don't, and everybody like, I don't see how our people the only people that do that in front of each other. No, that should tell you about us if we were on the opposite side. If we were actually into the law and knowing the law, how we would be with everybody. Ain't nobody getting slipped by. And they don't want that because once that starts waking up, everybody else is going to attach to it anyway because it's just something about this group of people that's just, it's attached to it. People attached to it regardless. And when I say that is because once we start fulfilling ourselves, everybody else going to do it too. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're not going to, one, don't nobody want to be left behind. That's one. Right now we behind. So get in law, but they understand that's why you got to start looking at I used to be like that too. Like, why we judge each other so hard? And I'm like, but you know what? On the opposite side, if we had the law, it explains because they talked about the Moors. The Moors ruled with a cast iron fist. They did not play when it came to law. That's why it wasn't really no wars and shit going on like that. They was real strict.
My father says that if any of the Moors from the ancient times were alive right now, 90% of these so-called Moors would be dead now.
Of course. Because they live completely abided by the law itself. They did not play. Like, they ain't play like that. We so lawless and out of control over here that it's ridiculous. What's up, JK? Talk to me.
Hey, Eric. Yeah, good class. As you well know, the Bible is the law book, and a lot of people know that. But what you do with your classes and your teaching, because you can't just go in and start citing Bible verses. You have to, you've got to show your work. And so what your classes do, what they help me with is you've got to understand the system. You got to understand the game to be able to understand how to play it. The Bible is the answer, but you can't just spout the answer. So you're exposing the system, how it's laid out, that it's logical, that it's rational, that it's not like a lot of other people teach that get people angry going in there thinking there's a secret game going on. There is something going on, but we don't understand it. And so you've got to take responsibility to understand the game, figure it out, see how the mechanics are. And it's very complicated, but you got to take it one block at a time. And so the way you teach, or what I, get a lot out of it is, you reveal the mechanics, you're pulling back the curtain. And then what you do, and you brought it up, in the class multiple times, you're referring back to the Bible. So that's the ultimate source and the authority. So as you go through this stuff, you start, throwing little lines over there, and you start grasping the concepts. And so once you fully understand how the game is played, you're going to be standing fully in the Bible, and then you'll be able to go back and stand on the rock, because you'll be able to show your work. You'll be able to, you're not spouting. It's not an abracadabra. That's the stuff they do. They play magic. We're we have divine rights, and our You know, our rock is Jesus Christ, and you know, and whatever people believe, there is a creative source, and so you're helping bridge the gap. So you know, it is complicated. It's not easy, but you know something, it's not impossible, and you're living proof that this can be done. It's being done, and you just have to stick at it. Sometimes you get overloaded, just take a break, take a day or two off, you know, read some scripture or whatever, and then come back. And the stuff is slowly going to gel in your mind because you've got to break the programming. You've been programmed for your whole life, all through school and everything else. So it's, you know, you gotta give yourself a little grace
Facts.
and just be patient with yourself and know you're going to get there because you're not going to stop. You're going to keep pushing. So I appreciate you, man.
That's what it takes, man. And you know, I know on this journey a lot of feathers gonna get ruffled, whatever. I disagree with people, people will disagree with me, and that's fine. Like, because what I know for myself, I know for myself. And I don't think people actually like hear what I'm saying because I have to look from a perspective of divineness. And I'm knowing that like God is not going to place his people. And the only thing I see is when I look at this, like when you look at the 14th Amendment citizen that we talked about so much, but then when I look about it and I think, okay, hold on, let's look at the history of why this had to take place. And you got to think about in this essence of God freed some people, told them they could be free, right? And when they became free, the states were like, nah, we get to determine. And at that time, that was the only thing that determined citizenship was state citizenship. But then national citizenship came because it's kind of like God saying, I know how to solve this situation. Oh, everybody my people. Everybody within the jurisdiction of the United States, I'm finna create a newfound citizenship. You're finna be reborn again. Everybody citizens of the United States of America, right? Now, when you do that, now that's if you in the Union States. If you live outside of the Union States in the territory, you still consider a national but non-citizen. But a national still abroad. Abroad. I don't care where you go. If you go to Russia right now, they're going to say you are a citizen of the United States. Anybody want to bet on that? They ain't going to give a damn about what you thought about the 14th Amendment or anything. They going to classify you as a citizen of the United States. Anybody want to bet on that? I'll take it. I'll take your bet right now. Matter of fact, I'm willing to send you overseas to see so you can find out for yourself. Anybody want to bet on that? Because it's a national political term for you. That's the only thing they're going to see you as. Broadly, that's why it says national. National term. So God had to claim you to protect you because the other ones wasn't going to do right. They wasn't willing to accept you. But now that God accepted you, everybody got to accept you. Some people are going to have a hard time of hearing that because you ain't accepted God in the right manner yet. And that's a fact. What's up, Heather? Heather, we can't hear you. Can y'all hear Heather? Because I can't. No, Heather, we cannot hear you.
No sound. She gonna have to come out again.
Come back out and come back in. We got 36 people in here. Dr. Felton, you ain't said nothing. And then it's like another thing too, man. Like, this is what I'm gonna say to everybody out there. I'm not here to destroy your faith or your perspective, whatever. Whatever you firmly believe in, stand on it. Don't let nothing I say shake you, because if it shake you, obviously you didn't firmly believe in what you said. So don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Real talk. Do not take it personal, because I don't care. I don't care that you believe, agree with me, got mad at me. Like, I don't know you for real. You really don't know me at all. None whatsoever, for real. So I don't take it personal. at all. Yeah, it ain't the first person that liked or didn't like me, talked about me. I've been called crazy in my whole entire town just by what I'm telling y'all now. This type of stuff. Yeah. So I've been perfectly fine. I got loved ones around me, so I'm not insecure in those areas at all. At all. So just want y'all to be just know, like don't take that I'm trying to argue with any of you, because that's not my point here. I could care less, I promise you. You are grown. Everybody's grown. What you decide in your mind and what decisions you make for yourself, that's up to you, as well as I do for myself. What I say don't make you shit. What I eat, etc., it don't make your hands move, none of that. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. If you don't agree with what I say, a lot of stuff I say, then hey, disregard it. What you do agree with, then take it. Utilize it. But for y'all to, get emotional about it, it is what it is. I'm gonna have a good time on my show though. So just remember that. Whoever you are, you here with me. I'm not here with you.
Never mind the messenger. Did you get the message?
I'm here with God. So, and it's still all love. It don't bother me none. I promise. Dr. Felton, we waiting on you to talk. You ain't said nothing. But yes, Lord. I heard you say yes, Lord. So obviously y'all must be busy. What's up, man? That's all the combo y'all got for me today, man. I appreciate y'all then. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. I definitely want to finish this. I don't know. I might finish the rest of this later on tonight. I'm thinking about it because I've been enjoying it and I want to finish reading it. So if those of y'all want to pop back in here, because Wednesday we're gonna finish. We're gonna do volume 7. So I'll probably pop back in here about 6. We'll say 7. Make sure everybody where they at. So 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll come back in here, including in work sessions right here with y'all.
In work session? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We'll come in work sessions too, and we'll do another one. So, and I'm gonna be the controller of all of that because I ain't gonna put no extra work on the wifey, but I got it. But yeah, so I had to do a lot of things for myself as well, and just to understand, like, move with the intention of God and be present with God as much as possible. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying this to everybody in here. I don't need you to follow me in the sense like y'all follow and worship these other deities and beings that y'all do. I'm going to do something you not going to like. I'm going to say something you might not like. Like, I'm just telling you, because I'm me. You going to do something that I ain't going to like. You going to say something that I don't agree with, or whatever the case may be. But it's you. I'm not going to hate you for it. Like, that's just who you are. So you don't got to take offense to it. That's why I be trying to tell y'all, don't take offense to nothing I say. Like, in that sense, this is just who I am. If you don't agree with it, don't agree with it. But that's what creates sensible people who can have a disagreement and still move on, move forward. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for us to crash out and say, who about that life? Because I know what I'm about. I'm not scared of nobody. Shit, I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. I'm very fit, solid. That's guns. We got all the same thing everybody else got. We all bleed the same. So I don't choose to go there. Let's just be cordial. Let's have a conversation. Okay, we disagree on this, but then this is where I beat everybody at. Okay, we don't agree on that, but we can agree that there's homeless people in the world, and I think that we should do something about that. So who wants to help feed the people today? So with that being said, I'm going to ask this, and I mean this. Is there an individual in here today that have children, that is having a hard time in feeding their children? Going once, going twice.
I do, but I get food stamps, and that's just off the spare of luck because I kind of bend the rules a little bit, as they would say.
Hey,
But other than that,
hey, We don't. We're going to the weeks beep 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 beep. Make sure that we edit it out. Don't nobody need to hear you bent the rules. Say that on here. But so I tell you what you do there, man. You got Cash App?
I do have Cash App.
Okay, this is what I want to happen. I'm going to send this ebook I'm reading out anyway today to everybody. It's going to go to you guys this week for sure. But all I'm asking you guys is to, I don't care what you give or what you send. That's your business. I don't care that you did. You ain't got to tell me you gave. Matter of fact, I don't even want to know. I'm going to do my part and do what I say. All I'm asking you guys to do one thing. She says she needs help. You can drop your Cash App to us. Let us know your Cash App. And whatever you may send to her. And I'm gonna do my part. I'm sending this ebook to everybody. But you gotta be in now. The only way you're gonna get this ebook is if you are in and you have registered at admin@ingodwetrustacademy.org. You've sent us an email and said that you are in work session. So now that means that if you are on the email list, you will receive. And that's why you should follow and listen to what I say instead of just watching everywhere else, because you miss these type of opportunities. So, what's your Cash App?
It's my name, so it's spelled DOMANEIK.
That's it? Just your name?
Just my name. Thank you so much, Brother Eric.
Okay, so it is DOMANEIK. Again, that is DOMANEIK. One more time. DOMANEIK. Send it there. Now, if you've been out here arguing with me and all of that and you can't help nobody, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, we here to do the Lord's work. So yeah, we're gonna make
Do we
sure
send it to the Cash App now?
you can send it whenever you ready. That's on y'all. I don't care when you send it. I'm just telling you what I'm asking. I'm gonna do. I'm asking y'all to do a favor, and I'm gonna do something for y'all. So somebody said they need the help. We don't need no receipts. I don't need to see no receipts. If you gave it, you gave it. That's between you and God. But I'm definitely gonna give my part of what I said I was gonna give to you. So if you are registered, remember the only way to get registered and receive this is through admin@ingodwetrustacademy.org. I will send the ebook to you there as well. Don't forget to join our private group, In God We Trust Academy. You know what? That's where I'm gonna finish up part 2 at. Inside the Facebook group.
Is her last name Hall?
That's your last name?
Yes, love. Thank you.
You're welcome, babe.
All right there. So, got you taken care of. Hey, man, all I can say, you know, and this is what I'm going to say too now, too. I'm going to say this to y'all. Man, don't be trying to secretly send us an email talking about you didn't want to say nothing. You needed some help. Listen, this was the opportunity. You had a chance. You didn't open your mouth. That ain't my fault. Don't be mad. Should have said something. So that's to you, miss, and hope hope that's take care of you and your family or whatever that people may send. And I'm going to send this out to you guys. I'm going to finish this up tonight, though. So you'll be getting this sometime this week after I finish it up. So be ready for that. I'm going to give y'all enough time to sign up for it. I appreciate y'all, man. This has been very, very warming. I actually was in the shower and I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do today. So I came downstairs and for the first couple hours of today, I sat down and I said, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to talk about this. I want to put this together so that it will help people to understand and stop being in the land of confusion. Right? So appreciate it. That's all I got to say. Anybody else got anything else to say? Well, hold on, Heather, you had something to say. Go ahead, Heather.
You too, man.
Go ahead, Heather. I ain't forgot about you.
There's so much to say. I mean, when you first started talking about this, I think about, my kids and my family and my ex-husband. We just had a family call yesterday, and he's complaining about what's going on out there, with the leadership and just so upset. And I'm so grateful to be here, and also very humbled by the power that we have in our hands. And that something you said, I was watching another video last night about trust. You're saying like that everything comes down to peace, and if you don't have peace in your heart, then you can't see and or hear the truth. And it's like, when you're talking about this due process, I heard everyone talking about due process and how it's, the 14th Amendment and how it's not ratified, blah, 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 blah. And these other circles of people, communities, and these people talking. And like, one of the things that I wanted to share about what drew me to you is the sound of your voice. And, really the etymology of the word person means for sound, like for sound. And it's like the sound of your voice is your person, is where it's coming from in your heart. And it resonates so deeply, and it literally creates clarity. The sound of your voice and the words that you speak, it helps to bring order into our confusion. And also, it also makes me feel like some embarrassment or guilt or shame for not knowing all of this stuff. Like, I took advanced history classes and things, and like what we're learning is so fundamental and so powerful. And I just really want to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for this, and how it's going to influence so many lives. And really, this is the way that we create, the new world, or whatever you want to call it, and to reestablish a government that is for the people, because we are the people. And so, yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. And I say this because, again, you got to look at the game that's being played. And I appreciate you for your kind words, for sure. Look at the game that's being played on you. Ignorance of the law is inexcusable, but nowhere from K through 12 is it taught to you. Nowhere. But they want, soon as you get out and you turn 18 and say that you are now in the legal capacity to go and do contracts. Now, this is the presumption. The presumption is that you do know the law. It's not that you don't know it. It's that you do know it. And that's what gives them the advantage on a lot of things, because it's presumed that you fully know the law and that you are capable in entering contracts, understanding contracts, negotiating contracts, everything, and that you can protect all your rights until you prove otherwise, that you need counsel, or you say you want counsel, or things of that nature, right? And those particular things, and just because you receive counsel doesn't mean representation. Those are two different things. But however, that's when they start, hey, you look like you need a public defender. They offer the public defender because you have a right to counsel. Doesn't mean you have to accept it. You understand? They have to offer it because the law says so. The law says you have that right. So now they have to offer it no matter what. And then they have to make sure that you have it, because if you look like you can't defend yourself, that's part of it. They have to determine that if you become in an incapacitated position. And it's going to look like that when you don't follow due process and procedure of the law. And when you start doing all this other stuff that does not matter when it comes to court, that's when they start forcing you to have an evaluation and all of that, because they're trying to incapacitate you. They're not trying to. You actually incapacitated yourself. So now they're going to evaluate you to go through the proper procedures to determine you incapacitated. See how that works?
Even then, though, you still got rights to be able to deter that from happening, right? If it ever came to that.
I mean, of course you got rights, but it would never come to that if you just operate in procedure correctly anyway. They're never going to question whether you know or don't know. They see you know. They're not gonna say you need to have an examination. You know what I'm saying? To evaluate you to see if you know or ready to stand for trial. You're not gonna need any of that if you already look like you supposed to, like you do. No, so it's a lot of things though that goes into the receiving clarity of all of this, and we just got to push forward to understand it and to want it, guys. And I don't. And here's the thing about me: I don't ever mind being corrected. I will stand corrected. Matter of fact, I had to just stand to correction the past 2 weeks. I had to do a lot of stuff. I had to turn around and go amend and rewrite the whole Constitution of MNRP. Ask my people; they'll tell you. They got to read that right now, so we can go into Monday and to ratify it. Do we not, y'all?
Yes, we do.
That's what it takes, though, because I want to make sure that we are in line with the federal and state government. Mm-hmm. It's different. It's different when you can go and establish yourselves into local government. When you're ready to run government, then that means you're knowledgeable of the law and the people, us who know the law. I guarantee you, some of the people that I've had in work sessions, I guarantee you, before it's over, some of y'all gonna end up being congressmen in your local governments, council, city council. You're gonna be mayors. Some of y'all might end up being senators. I guarantee it. Or your children. I bet you every dollar I got, the people that come from work sessions are gonna be in those alignments one day, for sure. It just is what it is because you are stepping into knowing the law. And a lot of people are going to want to make a change by sitting in those seats and actually operating it lawfully like you're supposed to. You're going to want to do that too. A lot of people are going to want to establish local government. So there'll be communities of people, tens and thousands of people who will buy up land and establish those things or go into older townships and grow those up. Like it's so many different opportunities out here for us to be able to do, and just know that it's lawful. We can do it. But first, right now, as in the age of Aquarius, as we say, it's the time of knowing. So now it's the time to sit, receive the knowledge, because we can't act and do nothing without knowledge and wisdom. Gotta have it. All right. So this has been great doing this with you guys today. I think everybody said their piece. I don't want to let nobody miss saying something they feel like they need to say before we get out of here.
I wanted to say thank you all again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I just want to double check that, like, if we're in these work sessions, doesn't that mean that we are on the most current setup, or I mean, the most current work session?
You said what?
Since we're on this call right now, wouldn't that mean we are automatically enrolled on the most current work sessions?
Oh, are you on the email list? Yeah. If you ain't here with me, you're already on that list.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that is a kick-ass work session today, buddy. Kick-ass.
Agreed, man. Agreed.
I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you. Straight up, man. Like, hey, I love this, y'all. I promise I do. And
it shows.
I love to do this. It's fulfilling. Cause this what saved me. I'm telling y'all, was headed down the wrong path swiftly too. So I'm glad that, everything that happened, you know what I'm saying, that shifted in my life took me to here to meet, you know what I'm saying, you beautiful people. It's a lot to come with it though. And I like I said, I just had my life threatened from sharing the truth the other day by some individual who said he's God. All this all type of shit. But it's people like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. And, just for me sharing something, it's like, oh, you're this, you think you're that. Like, nah, like, I don't even understand. The point of me even doing the past two videos I've done on Facebook, especially the one just, gaining the attention now too, it's just, it was to let you know that I fouled the shit y'all fouling. I've done it. I've got the UCC. I got the trust. I got all of that stuff. But none of that don't mean nothing if you can't sit down and read the law and comprehend it and apply it, understand procedure. It don't matter what piece of paper you file. And then that ought to let you know I've done this for people who ain't got none of what I got. That's been back since work session season 1. Right then it showed me like it didn't matter that I had all of this stuff. Like, yeah, I'm protecting my assets and ensuring, my lineage to protection of that as well. But when it comes to rights and having rights, it's just knowing the law. Nothing else. A piece of paper that you file and go record it in the county don't make you saying that you are. We get that. Okay, we recognize that. Now come on in this corner and operate it if we ever have to see you. Because if not, it's going to look like everything that you wrote on that piece of paper and filed in that county going to look like a damn lie. And it's going to expose you. The law will expose you if you don't know it. That's the whole point of what I've been telling y'all the whole entire time. Yeah, it's good. Is it good to have these documentations? Yes, you can. It can be considered as evidence. As parts of contracts, stuff like that. Beautiful. But again, do you know the law to be able to protect your rights and raise your issues and defenses? Because if you don't, then it's over with. You can have a trust all you want, but if you don't know how to do a motion to intervene to protect that trust because of some trust property, et cetera, is about to be terminated from the trust, dissolved from the trust, and distributed to somebody else because they think they got access and rights to it because they think it's yours and not you in a fiduciary capacity or whatever the case may be. But they started to garnish the trust money. You thought, I thought because I had a trust, they weren't going to be able to do that. You thought wrong. You thought that you need to go to court, understand procedure, and understand how to go in there and protect it. That's what you need to do. If you're going to be the trustee of anything, then you got to know how to protect the trust assets. Even if that means you need to hire a certain direct lawyer for certain things to protect it, then you also got to know how to give the lawyer limited power of attorney. You don't give a lawyer full power of attorney over the damn trust. That's crazy. Now they got power to be what you are as trustee and change shit and do all kind of stuff. You don't want that. So you got to know how to do limit them to their responsibility and what you're giving them the power to do within the trust. You do anything different, you're going to start taking away from yourself. But it matters. Then you also need to know pretty much the law as much as possible because now you need to know that the lawyer is representing the trust property, et cetera, the way it's supposed to. And if they not, then how you going to know that they ain't? How you going to hold them for negligence? I know it, man. I get it, guys. I promise you do. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people, like I say, I'm not here to be a burden to any of you guys. It's just, hey, what works for you works for you. That's cool. But we're going to do it over here that God gave us that we know going to work for us every time. Not sometimes, but all the time. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
Amen.
I'll see y'all at 7 p.m. Central Time. Y'all have a great one. Peace.
See you at 7.
Peace.
God bless you guys. Have a good one, you guys.